we've been talking about the transition back, right? And coming back to the workplace, back to the educational setting, coming back to, whatever this looks like for us, right? So we're engaged and things are still up in the air. We've got variants floating around. People are still, in some cases, at significant risk, and sometimes, I think there's perhaps a certain part of our population that is managing that based on some evidence, and then other groups on different evidence. And so there's a lot of things going on, but there's a lot of conversation around it. There's definitely been a lot of stress and tension just in the small circles that I run in. So it's, I find it really, really interesting. But also what I keep up with in the media, I'm kind of seeing the same thing, that there's, hey, Mary's here. But there's kind of this challenge of going back to work and what that means, and how do we manage being in person, to mask or not to mask. And so add all of that to the fact that many of us have been out of the workplace for a long time. Or if we were in the workplace, it was remarkably different than it has been in the past. And so there are different levels of kind of, I wouldn't go all the way to social phobia, but definitely just a lack of being around people in the same way. And that takes a level of kind of emotional resilience to be around people all the time, especially if you're not used to that and you've had this kind of significant break in your experience. So in order to really help build that resilience and build the awareness that actually provides the resilience, of course, mindfulness and meditation provide wonderful tools to manage that and to manage it well. I was talking to the orientation advisors, the students who are here to help all the new students settle in and get connected during orientation this morning. And it's so funny because, you're sitting around in this big room and the last person is in there going, "How are we?" And everybody's yelling and screaming and there's all this energy and it's very exciting. And then they introduce me and I'm like, I'm going to bring you all down. That's so, but it was amazing because everybody, we did the breathing, we settled in, we connected our bodies, we just dropped right into that space. And I was asking them about, moving into these spaces and how you feel and how do you learn how to manage the difficult feelings, how do you learn how to manage a lot of excitement that hits you all at once, right? It's really easy to just become overwhelmed, regardless of kind of the nature of the emotion. Just having strong emotions can be really overwhelming from time to time. Again, nothing wrong with that. It's wonderful, it's beautiful, it's amazing. But how do we manage ourselves in those moments and do that in a way that allows us to honor who we are and honor the situation that we're coming into at the same time? So again, meditation is the practice, mindfulness is the experience. So mindfulness is really being aware without judgment of what you have going on internally, as well as what's going on around you externally, and being able to, right, mindfulness gives us the tools to be able to balance the two of those things. And meditation being the practice of sitting and, number one, self-soothing, right? Calming the body, relaxing the body, taking those cortisol and adrenaline levels and norepinephrine levels down, right? And then activating that parasympathetic nervous system, bringing ourselves in from a place of fight or flight to a place of rest and digest, right? So that we're managing ourselves hormonally as effectively as we can. And in doing that, now all of a sudden we give full access to the neocortex, the prefrontal cortex, the ability to recognize and respond to social cues, to be able to really manage ourselves in what can sometimes be, challenging environments. Even if they're old environments, we have to see them with new eyes, because everything's changed. So again, and for some of us, it's the desire to go back to normal, right? Like there's a normal. Part of mindfulness is recognizing the ever-changing nature of all things. I just saw a student who's just come back as an OA. He was in the FYS class, the first year seminar class I taught last year as an incoming first year. He's probably grown 6 inches So he's super tall, super slender, got his hair cut. I didn't even recognize him, which blows my mind because, we spent, almost a year working together. And yeah, so it was amazing to see the change that he had come through. So just really fantastic. But again, I was so surprised in that moment. And I had that moment of feeling awkward because I didn't recognize this person who clearly knew who I was and was talking to me very avidly and openly. And I glanced at his name tag and I was like, oh my goodness. And so, but it's nice to have the presence of mind to say, I have not seen you in person ever, right? And I'm amazed at the change in you since last time I saw you online, right? You're so much taller now. Your hair is, you've really cut it short. It looks really sharp. You look great right now. Like you look fantastic, but I honestly didn't recognize you at first. And to be able to be okay with that, right? And sit with the discomfort that person is experiencing in that moment, because he was like, what? You didn't know? And I was like, dude, you're taller, right? You look thinner. Your haircut has changed. Like, this is amazing. Like, I'm so, this is really great to reconnect in person. So really powerful moment. But again, being really sensitive to what he was experiencing and also being sensitive to what I was experiencing and not judging myself for that. I could have dude, you should have recognized him. Gosh, you should feel bad about that. Or, maybe he's disappointed because you didn't. And if he is, then that's okay, right? That's okay. He can manage that. He's grown up, right? And I know that he at least meditated, right, for a whole semester with me. Absolutely. So, and he bounced right back and it was really good. So again, just a little example of how this can be part of the dynamic of moving back into the new environment and using it in ways that are just beneficial, really beneficial to us as individuals, as well as to the people that we work with and the communities that we exist in. So on to the practice. So I thought we would do, again, breath awareness, breath noticing, connect that to our physical body, use that to calm and center, right? And then I thought we might experience a little gratitude. Gratitude is a practice, far more than it's a feeling. When we think of gratitude, we think, oh yeah, that's when I feel this feeling of, being glad that something is in my life or is the way it is, right? It's this understanding, like we're grateful for our parents or for our siblings or for a gift that we've received or something that we've earned or a job that we have or whatever it is. But in thinking about that, there's always somebody who's not grateful for those same things, right? So in recognizing that people approach things very, very differently, we can start to recognize that in some areas of our life, we have a deep gratitude for the things that are there. But in other areas, we don't necessarily have that same kind of gratitude. It took me many, many years to become grateful for the really hard and difficult things in my life. Because they were hard and difficult, right? They were like trials that I had to go through. They were suffering. I had to suffer in order to manage those situations. And when I was younger, that was not something to be grateful for. That was something to be avoided or something that, you just had to endure. And now, through this practice, I've come to embrace those moments as beautiful opportunities because you can learn so much about yourself and so much about the people that you're spending time with and the situations at hand based on the feelings that you have and what you're experiencing during those. So there's super big opportunities to grow. And of course, as we know, growth is the never-ending model of the human being. We never stop growing until we're done. And we check out of this life, whatever that means. So we don't want to stagnate, right? We want to be able to be with that growth in a way that allows us to honor it for what it is and how it affects us in our lives. It doesn't mean that we're always going to be happy or we're always going to love it. It's not about that. But being grateful that we are alive and able to change and able to grow is in itself kind of a neat practice. But it is a practice, right? It doesn't always come naturally. So you have to practice it. Some people keep gratitude journals. That's something I did a while back. I would journal about 3 or 4 different things I was grateful for every day. Sometimes I would just make lists, 10 things I'm grateful for on days when I needed to speed along more quickly. But in exploring the things about my life and my experiences throughout my day, and to see what I really was grateful for, especially in hindsight, allowed me to find gratitude that I would not have had otherwise. And so I realized that I was cultivating a habit of seeing things in a different way. And that's really what gratitude became or has become for me. So again, another great practice. So I thought we would cultivate a little bit of that along the way as well. So go ahead and get into your comfortable position, whatever that looks like. For those of us who are sitting, go ahead and sit as nice and tall as you can. Let that head balance on top of the neck. Moving your hands forward or backward in order to sustain that position, just finding that place. And I'll go ahead and ring the bell to get us started. I really have a deep gratitude for the bell. It's kind of an unusual sound in my day, and it allows my mind to really focus just on the sound of the bell and letting all else slide away and really bring my attention to the moment, in the moment, in a powerful way. And kind of naturally flowing from there, moving into the sensation of the body, noticing your feet against the floor or whatever they're resting against. Your hands in your lap. Gravity's gentle pressure, pulling you downward and keeping you perfectly in this place at this time. And I'm noticing a sense of gratitude to be abled in a way where I can sit and I can speak and share this time and space with all of you, even though we're not even in the same room together. And then shifting over to the breath and the sensation of breathing, noticing that gentle coolness on the tip of the nostril as the breath comes in, moves up to the back of the throat, moves down the windpipe, expanding the lungs, feeling the diaphragm pushing downward to create that space for the expansion of the lungs. The body's response to all that oxygen and nitrogen flowing into the lungs, and then the turn and the exhale as the air moves back up and out of the body as we return it to the environment as a gift. We've processed it into carbon dioxide and other things, and now we're providing the plants around us with life-sustaining breath. And if it feels comfortable, slowing the breathing down a little, deepening the inhale through the nose if you can. Pausing, nice long slow exhale. Nice and slow again on the in-breath, deepening it. Nice long slow exhale. Noticing how the body begins to relax with each long exhale. And just gently scanning down through your body, noticing any place where you might be holding tension. Your forehead, your cheeks, your temples, your jaw, neck, shoulders, chest, upper arms, elbows, wrists, hands, fingers. Bringing your awareness to each part of the body as you scan through it, just noticing what's happening there. Is there muscle tension? Is it relaxed? What else do I notice? Can I feel the beating of my heart in my chest? I feel my clothes against my skin. My body against the chair or the couch or the sofa. My feet against the floor. As we notice how the breath and the process of breathing moves the body. Like waves on the seashore, never ending, crashing, just like never ending breathing in and breathing out. If you notice the process of breathing, we tend to think of it as one breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths. But if you really allow your awareness to focus with kind of pinpoint laser accuracy, you really notice the end of each breath and the beginning of the next. There's this place where an exhale turns into an inhale and an inhale turns into an exhale. Can you pinpoint the exact place? Following that breath all the way in, filling and expanding the lungs, transferring the gases into the bloodstream, returning the byproduct back out from the lungs, expelling it out into the environment around us. And I'm noticing a sense of gratitude for having evolved in a way that makes me an intimate part of the environment. The very life-giving air that I breathe also nurtures the environment around me, just as it nurtures me by producing the oxygen, nitrogen, etc., that we need in order to live. And scanning down to the hips, lower back, where the body contacts the chair, thighs, knees, calves, shins, heels, toes, feet, tips of your toes. Just noticing, feeling the sensations or lack of sensation. If you feel nothing at all, that's okay. No judgment. Just notice that you don't feel anything. As always, when the mind begins to wander or notices things, we want to honor that, take note of it, and then we gently release those thoughts or feelings or sounds in the environment. Not because they're not important, but because we're intending to direct our own focus and awareness in this moment to practice. So we come back to the breath, back to the body, back to the sensation of breathing. And as our lungs fill with air, we exchange with our environment. I'm noticing gratitude for the ability to do that. Not everyone is able to do that well or easily or efficiently. And so I'm feeling gratitude for my ability to manage that as well as all of yours. Again, if your mind has wandered, that's okay, no judgment. That's the nature of the mind. Just taking note of where it's gone and gently returning back to the breath, back to your body. Really noticing any place you may be holding tension. And sometimes it's right in the heart center. So if it's comfortable or if it feels good, maybe place a hand or two hands over your heart center. Notice what's happening there. Be a strong feeling, be a feeling of discontent, of joy, of hopefulness, of relaxation. It could be so many different things. It might be stress, it might be worry. Again, whatever is there, just honoring it. And noticing that we're safe. Hopefully we're all healthy. And maybe even noticing a sense of contentment or happiness. Whatever happens to be there that shows up for you. Recognizing it and then feeling gratitude for it. And now reconnecting with the body, beginning to notice the body against the chair, the cushions, the floor, the feet, your hands. Maybe even gently beginning to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, as I invite the bell to bring our time to an end. Thank you, dear friends. So good to be here with all of you today.